Today, I'm bringing you my favorite IDP waiver wire targets for week 6. Now, it's really important to get those rosters flushed out now because bye weeks are coming and the injuries don't stop. So I have several players for you to check your waiver wire for, and we're going to get to that right now. Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind YouTube channel. My name is Bob Van, the IDP man. Welcome in if you are new, and if you are new, I do hope you enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video, I do hope you consider leaving a like, maybe comment down below how we can help you improve your fantasy football teams this season. Engagement like that really helps promote the video to other viewers on the platform, and it really helps the channel grow. But with all of that said, let's dive right into my IDP waiver wire targets for week 6. So if you've checked out these IDP waiver wire videos before, you know I like to keep things pretty short and sweet and to the point. I don't like to give you a super long laundry list of players. I like to give you my favorite players that I'm actually targeting in my leagues. And now all league sizes are different, so you never know what's out on those wires, so it's always important to check. One of my favorite ads going into week 6 has to be Harold Landry, defensive lineman on the Tennessee Titans. This guy has been off to a great start this season, racking up almost as many sacks as he did already this season as opposed to last season, and just continues to wreak havoc on the opposing offensive line. Now, coupled with that, he's also been able to maintain his tackle floor from last season from what he pitches in the run game. So this makes him an absolute stellar ad for your teams and an absolute must add if he's still sitting out on the wire, which you'd be surprised to see he's out in a lot more leagues than you might think. Another favorite player of mine, and I don't like to double dip on the same teams on the same week, but David Long has to be talked about. Linebacker on the Tennessee Titans, filling in for Jan Brown, and there's a lot of discussion on whether he kind of pushed Jan Brown out of the picture. Jan Brown did have an injury kind of nagging on throughout the season thus far. But whatever the case is, David Long has been seeing increases in reps throughout the season and has seen the bulk share of reps in that linebacker core. He managed to rack up 13 tackles this past weekend, and I think you can look for similar production for him going forward. He's especially a great add in dynasty formats to me simply because Jan Brown is probably going to be out of there this next season if I had a guess. He is currently sitting on the franchise tag, and I don't see him being brought back if he's not going to play much this year. Most contract extension years don't start with an injury-plagued beginning. Usually they start with a very productive begin, middle, and end of season. However, that just doesn't seem to be in the cards for Jan Brown this year. Another one of my favorite ads at the defensive line position is Darrell Taylor on the Seattle Seahawks, and I mentioned him a little bit earlier on in the season in a waiver wire article over at Fantasy Six Pack. This guy missed the entirety of his rookie season with a leg injury. He was a second round pick, and quite honestly, he's living up to the hype. He has a sack in every single game this season except for week 2, but has been super productive every other week and honestly has been the best pass rusher on this team. And Lord knows Seattle needs a pass rusher now more than ever with Russell Wilson set to miss time. That team needs honestly as much help as it can get, and Darrell Taylor is a great guy to do that. And he'd be even better if he was on your roster. And then for some smart ads of the week for me, Pete Werner leads off this column, linebacker on the New Orleans Saints. And while the Saints have a bye week this week, you're still kind of setting yourself up for the rest of the season. Pete Werner garnered a starting role in this past week and made the absolute most of it, racking up 13 tackles this week. And while he hasn't shown that big play upside yet or really any big play potential at all, tackles are still pretty valuable in most league formats. So do note, if your league is very centric on big play scoring and not much on tackles, Pete Werner might not be a great grab for you. Now, as he starts to get more and more involved, I am concerned that this will be to the detriment of Malcolm Jenkins and Demario Davis. Simply being aging assets, Pete Werner is the new hotness. He was a second round pick for this team. And I think once they return from the bye, he'll just be a more integral piece of that defense. And now here I am double dipping on another team, going back to the Seattle Seahawks to talk a little bit about Quandre Diggs. Probably not the defensive back named Diggs that you were expecting to be on this list or might have been expecting to be on this list. But moving on to the actual guy I want to talk about, Quandre Diggs, probably not the defensive back we even expected to be wanting to roster on this team. It was well projected by most that Jamal Adams would be in for another gangbuster year, and that just hasn't happened yet. He hasn't been getting the sack production, the tackle production, really any of the same production that he's had in years past. However, Quandre Diggs has made up for that in a big way, registering interceptions, big plays, and maintaining a pretty solid tackle floor to boot. So until Jamal Adams turns it around, maybe you have Jamal Adams and you need to grab Quandre Diggs to have a good defensive back on your team. That might not be the worst move for you until Adams turns it around. Then moving on to discuss one of my favorite players from last year, that was AJ Klein, linebacker on the Buffalo Bills. AJ Klein made a huge impact on the Buffalo Bills linebacker room when he filled in for Matt Milano last year, and no shock about it. He did a great job filling in this past weekend for Matt Milano again. Now, I don't want to say Matt Milano is injury prone by any stretch of the imagination, but if AJ Klein is filling in again for Matt Milano, you might want to have him on your roster and slot him into that linebacker slot if you have room, or if you have somebody on bye and need the body. He only managed to register 9 tackles this past weekend. However, last year he was known for disrupting every single play and making a lot of big plays. So if Milano is to miss extended time, I think you can kind of expect that out of him again. I know that is a shorter list, but I do want to dive into some honorable mentions of some players that I've already mentioned in these videos, but I just don't want to keep mentioning for content purposes or just to fill out a list like I mentioned before. But these are definitely still some guys you should check for in your leagues on your waiver wire. Guys like Gregory Rousseau, Quincy Williams, Logan Wilson, Denzel Perriman, Nasir Adderley, guys like Hassan Reddick, Jordan Brooks, CJ Mosley. If you want to dive into my thoughts on guys like that, feel free to hit up this playlist here. Catch up on all the waiver wire goods on offense and defense so far this season. And while that is it for the video today, I do hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, please leave a like. Check out the other videos on the channel like I mentioned. Please comment down below how we can help you improve your teams this season. And if you are new, I do hope you consider subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you along for this ride of ours. And we are trying to bring you as much content as humanly possible to help you win your leagues in every league setting. But that is it for me today. I will see y'all on Thursday with my IDP rankings. But until then, y'all have a good one.